Es ist sehr schwer und manchmal unmöglich,
C'est très calme. Il n'y a pas beaucoup de...
Bob Wood, National Program Director of the Shaman.
L'avion, c'est très un petit peu.
Quelle est votre question?
Bonsoir monsieur, je voudrais savoir si à 6 heures heure française, s'il y a conflit, est-ce que ce serait une guerre mondiale et si oui, est-ce que ce serait éventuellement la fin du monde?
Ed ora una nuova puntata di...
There was a time in the history of the Western world when reason appeared. She looked around and with a disgusted face decided that never again she would permit herself to be cheated. So she created science, or rather sciences, in order to investigate, experiment, vivisect the universe. With the same fervor with which certain religions assured us that the world was flat and that we were all children of Adam and Eve, the Illuminists have tried to convince us that everything could be explained in rational terms, and everything could be justified. Then Einstein gave us the theory of relativity. It turned out that time was relative to motion, that here and now were only pious illusions, and that all considered, modern medicine cured the symptoms, but neglected the causes. Certainly, it was possible to explain everything, but did we really know the instruments of our investigations, or the raw basics on which to construct our theories? And here we are in our present day. Here we are, not so certain as before, a little scared, but also more curious and respectful of the world. Here we are finally, after hundreds of years, feeling the necessity to look back at those 200 million years of human history in which our ancestors asked themselves the same questions, and although using different methods, found their answers. The moment has come to go back to the school of the Shaman. There once was a time when the universe, plants, animals, men and gods were the same thing. Fire did not exist then, and that was bad. So together, they began thinking how to resolve this problem. After many nights, fire gushed out from the earth. So appeared Tatevari, Grandfather Fire. He was the first shaman, the first Murakami, and from him everybody learned. The prayers were not sufficient to tame Tatevari's rage, and he started burning the world. And so appeared Takutsi Nakawe, Grandmother Growth. She released her braids, and her hair became rain. And so Grandmother Nakawe extinguished the fire and saved the world. Here we are in Mexico. We started our journey in Sierra del Nayar, crossing the western Sierra Madre, one of the most impenetrable and inaccessible regions of Mexico. Here, proud and isolated from the modern world, live the Huichol people. Well known in the whole world and widely studied, they represent an excellent departure point for us to try to interpret the significance of the word magic and its consequent therapeutic use. Exceptionally faithful to their traditions, and particularly restive to any form of Western civilization, these men throughout the centuries have maintained practically untouched their pre-Columbian habits and costumes. 200 years of resistance to Spanish conquerors. The revolution fought on the side of Pancho Villa in order to save their lands. And a religion which never actually came to terms with a church that imposed evangelization and tried to perturb their cultural identity make of these 10,000 people a unique example of their kind. They call themselves Bishrarika, which means seers or prophets, medicine men, shamans, and gives us the dimension of the religious feeling which pervades this community. These are men whose eyes shine in a different way. These are men whose eyes seem to look far away, beyond the appearances of our world. They're in harmony with the world, and the world speaks to them. They know the energies, the powers and the forces that move on the earth, and with these they ride. The wind answers their questions, and the rain comes down to perform their desires. The Marakames sang for 3 days and 3 nights. They sang the story of the Huichol people. They prayed for their people. They prayed to accomplish their duties in order that the rain would come and quench their arid fields. Brother deer has been killed. The bull has been sacrificed. The rain came on the last night of prayers. The figure of Marakame, the shaman, the spiritual leader of the community, is of immense importance among the Huichols. It's his dreams, his visions, words pronounced by his brother Hikuri during the trance caused by the taking of the peyote cactus that help the people to understand the messages sent from the world. Every deed, every action accomplished by the Huichol man fits into a precise ritual and has the task of keeping alive, from moment to moment, his relationship with the surrounding world and with the divinity inside. There was once a time when all gods met together and discovered that they were ill. Those who were responsible for giving rain were not doing so. Those who were lords of animals couldn't find anything to hunt, and nobody knew how to find life. Then came Marakame Tatevari, who brought them together again, the way Marakame still do today. And he explained to them that they were ill because they didn't go to Wirikuta, the sacred land of Peyote on the east, where the sun rises. So he imposed the necessary time of fasting. He showed them the road to take and led them to the sacred mountain at the edges of the world.
Este es el Israel.
This man is 90 years old. His name is Nuyume, and he is a shaman of one of the 3 Huichol groups that participated at the feast.
Ahorita lo que estamos haciendo, porque nosotros lo hicimos mucho la lucha para el agua. Ahora mira, hasta dónde se nos vino el agua. Desde empezamos allá en nuestro rancho, allá empezamos. Y allá nos decían los curanderos que aquí nos faltaba la cosa. Pues de allá nos vinimos, ahora eso estamos encontrando. Eso es lo que tenemos nosotros. No hay más. Por decir, voy para tal parte, como voy al Cota, voy para el mar, voy a Shaman acá, nada más yo voy a llevar por allá, a Shaman acá, llevar una vela. Allá lo de y pido la vida para vivir. Lo mismo al mar, igual. Y las que nada más estamos pidiendo la vida, ¿no? Que no le pase nada. Oh, allá pues ya te hubo una licencia de que ya
The sea, the mountains, the desert and the volcanoes become cardinal points of the Huichol universe, the obligatory passages of the shaman's journey in his research of illumination. To lead the passage to Wirikuta will be the Marakame. He will be the head of the human arrow, which will complete 450 kilometers to reach the world far beyond. This journey of initiation that all Huichols, men and women, have to accomplish at least once in their lives to meet the brother Hikuri, to participate at least once in that other world in which the shaman indulges to achieve the powers that allow him to dominate the elements and illnesses, and to share that harmony with the awe, which is the real key to magic thoughts. Colorful icons, little statues, marrows decorated inside with epic scenes of animals and magical symbols. These multicolored paintings, exposed in numerous museums of the United States and around the world, have left traces in the work of many contemporary artists, among whom Keith Haring. But certainly, the values and the meaning of these objects is very different from our interpretation of figurative art. Here, they do not have an aesthetic value, but a magical function as intermediates and righteous offerings to the ancestors, whom we might call gods, or God himself, but which in their language simply does not exist as a term. The concept of God is unknown. It's an invention of the Spanish. For them, God takes on the familiar names of Grandfather Fire, Father Sun, and Brother Deer. Therefore, they have a different interpretation of illness. They see it as forgetfulness, transgression, imbalance. To forget something of our environment is like forgetting something inside of us. The macrocosms and the microcosms correspond to each other, and thus illness itself becomes only an expression of a deeper disease.
Así, si por algo, si usted no te paras con su patrón, lo fallaste 1 año o 2 años, ese te está agarrando, su patrón mismo, porque usted no lo cumple. Entonces, también se conoce bien. Entonces, pues si yo te voy a decir, pues su patrón, entonces tú lo tienes que cumplir y te va a salir bien. También, si hay una envidia, también. Se conoce, ese te lo puedo quitar. Pero si tiene una espina usted, que esa espina te tiene agarrada así y no andas a gusto. Así cuando tiene una cosa, aquí el pecho, el cuerpo, es porque tengo algo aquí adentro. Entonces esa maracama, si es bueno, pues sí te puede sacar algo, te va a chupar. Es porque tienes algo. No, pues le puedo adivinar cómo y por qué. Entonces yo lo puedo ver la persona que te está haciendo, ¿verdad? Porque nosotros nos curamos entre los huicholes, ¿verdad? Yo puedo hacer una prenda para darle a la persona. Y le voy a darle una flecha. Entonces él lo va a recibir. Él ahí va a estar mirándolo. Lo vamos a suponer. Usted me da una carta. Bien letrado, bien figurado. Si yo sé bien leer, yo lo voy a leer bien. Así viene siempre. En esa prenda sale allí todo.
The basic laws of nature act without discrimination, in the same manner everywhere and in different situations. They are in some way the pivot, the axis of life. These lost yet fundamental rules are those that the shaman goes in search of on his journey into the unknown, in the world far beyond. But how does one become a shaman?
Pues entre nosotros es así. Lo sueña uno. Uno lo sueña como uno ya sabe uno de ese. Entonces, si yo lo sueño así, un hijo mío, es que va a ser así como yo. Y crece ya como este muchacho, más grande, si aguanta las cosas, lo que le está saliendo a él, va a durar muchos años, aunque se supiera las cosas. No puede decir lo que ve él, pero él solo lo sabe. Pero ya con el tiempo también se va a enfermar. Si se enfermó, oyó al papá. Entonces uno maracame va a adivinar que por mi suerte le está pasando a mi hijo. Entonces yo tengo que decir que sí, que se haga así como estoy yo. Así sale bien, se alivia, se compone bien. Entonces va a salir como yo, porque viene siendo como la escuela, ¿verdad? Un niño, si tiene empeño de estudiar bien todo, y puede seguir, pero si nomás lo empieza, va a llegar nomás al primero, segundo o tercero. ¿Eh? Porque llegando al tercero no es nada. Solamente en el sexto o en la secundaria, ese hay algo. Pues así uno. Así. Es un estudio. Si el Dios si no le da esa suerte, así nomás va a salir y no va a saber nada. Pero si el Dios le da, así va a salir. Maraca.
And here is the last stop of our journey, the small hill of the singer of songs, the place where Brother Peyote teaches his songs to every single person, songs to be kept for their whole lives as an individual wealth of prayers. Only a few stones form a magical circle here, where men have always rested since thousands of years. And on a small stony hill, they have always left their offerings. They have always left the most beautiful things they possess as gifts to the spirit of the place. Nothing monumental was built here, and yet one breathes a strange magic air, feeling incomprehensibly protected and relaxed. And finally, there it is, Quemado, the burnt mountain. Here the sun was born, and here is the last stop of the pilgrimage.
¿Cómo se hizo el mundo? ¿Cómo lo hizo para nosotros el Dios? El Dios lo hizo para nosotros. Todo puso. Él hizo todo que comer. El animal, el maíz, frijol, todo. Y el agua. Eso hizo Dios. Así es la cosa. Yo sé todo. Si yo les pongo a platicar, y yo les puedo explicar todo. Lo que yo sé. Pero vamos a durar toda la semana.
We will move now, more in a figurative way than in a physical one, to talk about the Kora. They live in the same region of the Huichols. They share the same places of worship, and they consider the Huichol people as their elder brothers, calling them by a name which means those who came before. The Kora are perhaps even more suspicious and reserved than the Huichols, and they lack the gaiety and the brightness of their brothers. As much as the Huichols are colorful, inventive, and creative, so the Kora people appear sad and gray. The intense Catholic penetration brought these people to a sort of cultural ambivalence, which can be seen at different levels of their social life, creating in this way a condition of latent controversy and diffidence which characterizes relationships between individuals. Important festivals, like that of Elote, the corn cob, become thus a difficult task that they try to delegate as much as possible to the representatives of the village and to the council of the elders. It's the scarce participation of ancestral rites and their disregard for tradition that distinguish the Kora people from the Huichols. The need of modernity, perceived in a non-critical manner, generates a feeling of dearth and frustration towards those people that they see as more evolved and civilized. Although they often appeal to the traditional medicine man, the shaman, at the same time they look at him with suspicion, and they tend to alienate him from the community. The shaman, therefore, is no more a symbol of religious reverence, but a figure somewhere between sacred and diabolic, of someone who operates in a sphere of powers no longer recognized as sacred. To tell us about this feeling of solitude is a Kora shaman, Don Servando. The soaring of the shaman, whose spirit glides up in the sky to investigate which enemies, which forces, which deaths are holding the suffering person, becomes then a solitary flight.
Yo no supe por qué soy curandera, por qué curo. Esto ha de cuenta como estar dormido y despertar con un libro en la mano. Aunque me lo echaron a perder. Las mismas gentes. La gente envidiosa, que envidia poderes. Envidian el poder si no es de uno. Lo tenemos prestado. Todo es de Dios. Todo es de la tierra, todo es del cielo, todo es del demonio. Pesado. Pesado porque mentalmente tiene que buscar los caminos, a ver dónde está aquella alma, dónde sufre. ¿Qué pasa con él? ¿Qué tantos enemigos lo siguen? ¿Qué debe? ¿Por qué está así? ¿Quién lo está castigando? Hay que buscarlo en la tierra, hay que buscarlo en el viento, hay que buscarlo en las cuevas, hay que buscarlo en los cerros, en las lagunas. Allí va a investigar duramente,
ayunando días completos, día y noche, para alcanzar a conocer de dónde salió ese mal. Se lo está haciendo un hermano, se lo está haciendo un amigo, se lo está haciendo un compadre, una mujer que tuvo anteriormente o alguna gente que haya sido afectado por la persona. Con su espíritu, con su mente sube, se eleva al viento arriba, ¿sí? Investigar, a ver, ya sea en la noche, ya sea en el día, él trabaja mentalmente. Luego se empiezan a presentar ante el curandero, viendo gentes desconocidas o gentes conocidas. Entre sueños los ve en el lugar, como que o lo encuentra en un camino. Que le dice, ¿qué hubo? ¿Dónde vas? Como que hay celos. No, como que hay celos, como que pues hay. Empiezan comentarios, no sé. No. Pero si el curandero no se asusta, le sigue. A ver de dónde sale el mal, por dónde entró. Y si en el momento que está uno trabajando eso, alguien está ahí que ve, que también cura, que ve pues, va a ver mi persona allí, lo va a ver. Como Calimán de lejos se presenta ya con sus amigos. Tú tienes que pensar en aquel, si ya te diste cuenta realmente que aquel es el que puso el mal, que él es el que está acarreando esos males para hacer sufrir a esa persona, al mal paciente, ¿verdad? Entonces tú tienes que hablarle en los rezos para que los espíritus se apoderen en él y lo presionen. Entonces eso es lo que hay al caso, dominarlo, y quitar el mal que puso. Ya quitando aquel, él va a sentirlo luego. Ay, me quitaron las fuerzas. Porque hay que agarrarlo en horas que no trabaja. En el día menos pensado, en la hora menos pensado, ¿verdad? Cuando duerme, está ahí acostado, dormido. Esa hora hay que llegarle. Hablarle entre sueño y que entre sueño escuche eso. En la cabeza le va a entrar una tristeza después de que puso el mal en la persona. Si tú lo dominas, le va a entrar la tristeza, pero los espíritus son los que van y se apoderan de la frente, de la mente. Entonces se le va a venir, ¿por qué lo hice? Caramba. Y ya se le va a borrar de la mente de sentir mal con aquella gente. Ya va a querer hasta platicar con él. Todavía le va a preguntar. Mira, pues si sabes y sientes que yo te falté el respeto, perdóname. Le va a pedir perdón como pedírselo a su padre, a su madre. Así. Y perdonado, él perdonándole, se alivia la persona. Y así es la forma que se vencen los malos enemigos. Porque de otra manera, pues ¿cómo? Si yo lo encuentro, aquí en lo natural, yo le hablo, ¿sabes qué? Pues nos vamos a matar. Él ya está decidido, él ya sabe lo que está haciendo. A los 5 días, si ya va sanando, otros 5 días más, para circularlo, cercarlo, dejarlo en un limpio como aquí. Otros 5 días pagar las primicias o pagar los favores, porque uno no es nadie, uno no es el curandero. El curandero es el santo, el curandero es Dios, es el sol, es el agua, es la tierra. Nomás uno tiene fe en ellos y con una relación pequeña, que al hablar uno, luego se mueven los espíritus de la tierra. Y hacerlos trabajar.
The first part of our journey is almost at an end, but others await us in the following episodes. The one thing that should somehow be explained at the end of this segment is that the respect the Huichol people reserve for the shaman is very rare even amongst native Mexicans. Therefore, the following part of our journey will be a story of the attempted blending between one dominant religion and the remains of a unique, indigenous, more or less surviving culture. Catholicism, then, becomes the holder of ancestral rites and the envelope with which to perpetrate tradition.